Welcome to the Spitfire Mk.VB tutorial. Looking out the wing, got the gear position indicator, so when it's sticking out, the gear's out, but if you don't see it, the gear's retracted. Coming back inside, we see the rudder trim, and if you twist it in those directions, you can see you can turn it to starboard or to port, which is right or left. The green handle with the button on it, that's the water radiator, and there's 5 positions for this. As we move it forward, we'll open it up, and as we pull it back, we're going to close it. The black wheel is the elevator trim, and then on the dash you can see there's an elevator trim tab indicator that tells you the position that it's in. The black handle just over here on the left, that's the air screw control, and this is what controls your RPM. The yellow handled lever is your throttle, and just next to that you see a red latch. This is your boost control cutout switch. Moving it forward will increase the max boost pressure to 16 pounds to give you more power in an emergency situation. The white knobbed handle is the mixture. Pushing it forward is the auto lean position, and the back is the auto rich position. Then the radio control unit is there. Then we have the brake lever on the control column, and then we also have the brake triple pressure gauge that tells you how much pressure is applied to each brake. You've got the clock, a gear position indicator which will light up either up or down, then oxygen regulator, the flap control will tell you up or down, navigation lights. Then just next to the flap control you've got some limitations you should be aware of. None of the gun sight is actually an adjustable one, but this will be covered separately. Sun filter like we have in most airplanes, and on the right of that you've got the voltmeter. Moving to the main panel, got the airspeed indicator in miles per hour, artificial horizon, vertical speed indicator in thousands of feet per minute, altimeter in feet, a directional gyro, a slip and turn indicator. Underneath we have the cockpit light switches, and just under that you see we have a compass and a fuel cock lever. On the right hand side of the panel with a tachometer to tell us our RPM. On the right is our boost pressure gauge, which is essentially your manifold pressure, a fuel pressure warning lamp, oil pressure gauge, oil temperature gauge, radiator temperature gauge that tells us our water temp, and a fuel gauge with the push button to cycle between tanks. Some more limitations as we can see here, you should be aware of those. We've got the undercarriage control unit, and a little bit on the right hand side, stuff we can't control, but we have windscreen de-icing, and then you have emergency undercarriage locking control. To start the engine you just press E and it'll go through an automated sequence. So while it's doing that, we'll look at the pilot's notes for the Spitfire Mk.VB. This page contains the engine limitations for the Spitfire, so you need to be aware of these when flying it in combat. Then you have some airframe limitations, as well as some important airspeeds you should have a good idea of. And then the last page will be just miscellaneous notes concerning operation of the Spitfire in game. With the engine started, we want to make sure we've got the air screw control put fully forward. This will give us our maximum RPM on the ground. Then we're going to open the water radiators all the way as well. It's down on our left. And now we're ready to taxi, so we check our surroundings and add some power, and then we'll get going to the end of the runway. To prepare for takeoff in the Spitfire, I'm going to set the rudder trim to fully starboard, which is to the right. Elevator trim will be 1 division below neutral. Water radiator will be fully open. Mixture control set to auto rich. RPM is set to fully forward. Make sure the flaps are up, fuel cock is on. And then at 100 miles per hour we're going to rotate, and 160 will be our climb. So we see we set the rudder trim fully to starboard. Radiator control is fully forward. RPM is fully forward, mixture's in the auto rich position. Then we set the elevator trim to 1 division below neutral. Flaps are up. Fuel cock is on. Now we're ready for takeoff. So you can apply up to a maximum of 12 pounds boost pressure on takeoff if you like. Start increasing the power. Add some aileron correction for the crosswind and we start rolling. You can add some forward pressure to get the tail wheel off the ground. You're going to be using right rudder to counteract any swing we get. Then 100 miles per hour, we're going to ease back on the stick and rotate. Positive rate of climb, we're going to bring the gear up. Now you want to attain your best climb speed as soon as possible. So accelerate to 160 miles per hour. And this will be your initial climb speed up until 10,000 feet. Now on the climb out, you can adjust the water radiator as needed, and if you want you can use the combat power, but I prefer to climb using max continuous. To land the Spitfire on downwind, we're going to have the canopy locked to the open position. We're going to set the water radiator fully open, mixture to auto rich. We're going to slow down to below 140 miles per hour to adhere to our limitations. Then we'll extend the landing gear. By the end of downwind, we'll extend the flaps, and that'll actually extend them fully. Then we'll begin our base to final turn at 95 miles per hour. So now the canopy's open, we're going to maintain our pattern altitude and position relative to the runway, and then we'll begin our slowdown. Now that we're slowing down to below 140 miles per hour, we can extend the landing gear. This will add more drag and start slowing us down even more. So by the time we reach the end of downwind, we'll be at a nice airspeed to extend our flaps. Now these flaps will extend out in one go, so it's either all or nothing. There's a lot of drag, so the airplane's going to change its pitch, and you'll need to either add some trim or adjust your pressure accordingly. And then we'll begin our base to final turn, and we want to try and maintain about 95 miles per hour in that. As we're making this turn, you want to try and estimate where your aiming point is going to be. This way you don't fall short of the runway or fly too far along it. As we're continuing in, it's going to take very small adjustments in power on the pitch to adjust your airspeed and aiming point accordingly. As we roll out on final, we get a nice idea of where our aiming point is. We'll continue down towards it. Now as we start reducing power, the nose is going to want to lift. So you'll simultaneously add a little bit of back pressure and reduce the power, get it into a 3-point attitude just above the ground, and we touch down. Then you hold fully back on the stick and apply brakes, and we come to a stop. Now with the brakes applied, any swinging left or right can be counteracted using the rudder, and this will apply differential brakes to help you stay straight on the runway. That completes the familiarization for the Spitfire Mk.VB. If you liked the video, let me know in the comments, use the like button, and don't forget to be a subscriber to see more videos.